Did you make New Year's resolutions for 2020? Well, I didn't. I'm going to tell you why right now. Thank you for joining me for another episode, and Happy New Year. I think it's appropriate that episode 20 is the first episode of 2020. You'll also notice that episode 19 was the last one of 2019. Just a coincidence, it just kind of landed that way. I didn't plan it, but it works out well. I'll take it as a good omen. So did you make a New Year's resolution for 2020? Well, I didn't, and I would have in the past. I used to believe in making New Year's resolutions, and I would do it usually right on New Year's Eve. I'd sit down and I'd kind of do some planning and make a few rules for myself for the year and say, these are my resolutions. I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that, and I'm going to do these things. And then, of course, by about mid to end of January, I've given up on it, and then I'm beating myself up for it, and the cycle continues. And I do it year after year after year. Well, this year I did something different. I decided I was going to do some goal setting. And part of the reason I chose to do some goal setting is because I've been reading a book that's been out for quite a while now called Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy, who I have talked about before. I'm doing his AMP program, and I actually finished this on New Year's Day, and I want to kind of start talking about this. This is where I'm getting a lot of my ideas for 2020 moving forward. One of the things that he talks about early on in the book is goal setting and how willpower, of course, doesn't work. And to quote him, he says, "The reason mental techniques and strategies focused directly on goal setting are generally unsuccessful is because nearly all of your behaviors are outsourced by your environment. When you do something enough and in the same places, it becomes subconscious." Now, I would generally just sit down and make my plans in my office, right around New Year's. Sometimes even on New Year's Eve in the evening, I'd sit down kind of in anticipation of the new year, and I would do that. I didn't this year. What I actually did is I went away by myself on New Year's Day. I went and found a hotel for 2 nights, and I escaped from the family by myself. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to start a new tradition. And I wanted, at the beginning of the year or somewhere near the end of the year from now on, I want to get away for a day or two and regroup and plan. And so I changed my environment. Instead of being at home, in my office at home, which is something I usually do, I'll sit down and I'll clean up my papers on my desk, which is always a good thing, and I still did it this year. I'll clean off my wipe-off boards, I'll start writing my goals on the wipe-off boards to have something visual, so every time I sit down in front of my computer, I can actually see my goals. I would do this on a regular basis, but what I needed to do in order to establish some of the plans I needed for 2020, I needed to go to a new environment. And that's exactly what I did. So I went to a hotel, and I went there to do 3 things. 1, to read a book. To finish, actually, in this case, Willpower Doesn't Work. And I read another book as well, and I'll talk about the books I'm reading throughout the year as I'm completing them and make some suggestions for you. But also, I sat down and I finished and reviewed 3 years of my journal. And I've got several gaps, so maybe more like 3.5, but I had a few in there where I had a few gaps in my journal. And by doing this and doing these 2 things, it prepared me for step 3, which was to put together my 2020 plan. And what I did is I went in there and I put together my 3 goals that I have. And I had 3 specific goals in mind for myself. One was to 15% body fat. I've shared that with you before. That was one of my goals that came out of Every Damn Day a few episodes back. Number 2, I have a number of subscribers that I want to reach for this YouTube channel. I want to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. That's my goal. And then I have a certain dollar amount that I want to save in my savings account by the end of the year. I'm going to keep that to myself because that's personal and that's private, but that's a goal. These are my 3 goals, and everything that I'm doing is going to focus in these 3 areas. If it doesn't focus in these 3 areas, it's not going to be a major goal I'm going to focus on. There's the standard things that I'm always going to do. Family's always going to be there, and making sure I'm doing my job, that's always going to be there. But these are the 3 things outside of the normal everyday routine that are going to be my top priorities. Now, doing this getaway was awesome. I loved it. It gave me a chance to be by myself, and I spent a lot of time in the hotel. I still went to the gym. Every damn day, like I'm supposed to. And then I'd go back to the hotel and I would do these activities. I'd even take a nap for a little bit, for half an hour just to reset my brain. I'd go out to dinner and have a meal. And in these areas where I was at, the hotel or out for dinner or at the gym, I was actually in recovery mode. And we'll talk about recovery mode a little more in another episode. But specifically, it gave me a chance to clear my mind and to start thinking and planning. And I came up with at least 2 or 3 pages for my 2020 plan, and it's still evolving. And so I really want to encourage you to do this. I'm going to share one more quote from the book with you. Benjamin Hardy says, "Peak experiences are most likely to occur in enriched environments, specifically environments optimized for rest and recovery. Hence, it is while you're traveling that you get your best creative insights." And with what I put together from this trip, I can tell you for sure that is exactly correct. And that is exactly what happened for me. I have never had a more clear vision for what I want to do for 2020. I encourage you to read the book. It's an awesome book. And I encourage you to, instead of doing a New Year's resolution, set yourself up with a positive environment. I'll talk more about how to change your environment as well in another episode. In fact, the next one, we'll kind of expand on that a little more and talk about some goal setting. And I hope that you'll take this and you'll run with it, because it's really powerful, all these things that I'm doing, and it will help you in any depressive mood that you're in, or even just if you're just trying to improve yourself overall. Thank you so much for joining me and coming back and watching another episode. Again, Happy New Year. If you are just watching me for the first time, hey, subscribe. There's a subscribe button over here. Make sure to push that button and make sure to push the bell so that you know when I actually put out another episode. Hey, and there's another episode over there. Take a look at that too. I'm always putting out new episodes. My goal is to put them out every week, and I have some more stuff that I'm working on that's going to be coming out soon. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.